Whew, all right. I guess it's time to launch this pig, right? Welcome everybody to the Saturday edition of the Paranormal Portal. Hope you guys are doing great. Hi, Mom. How you doing? I see you said hi earlier and didn't type it, so I just thought I'd say it here. Hi, Mom. How you doing? Hope you're doing good back in the wonderful Minnesota land. I hope you're all doing great wherever you are. I have, of course, a full boat of fun and activity lined up for you guys. Of course, we're going to do the news, which maybe you'll learn something. Maybe you'll leave the news feeling like, hey, I didn't know that. So glad I tuned in because now I know that. And maybe you won't. Maybe you'll think, God, that's 10 minutes I'm never going to get back. But either way, you're spending it here with us, and that's always wonderful. So we're also going to be getting to the Discord question of the week tonight. It is Saturday night, so it is now truly in name and in actual fact a question of the week rather than 3 question of the week, which is kind of stupid now that I think about it, but at the time it made sense. I guess I could have just added an S and just bypassed all that, but you know, hindsight's 2020. And we got that going for us. So we're going to do the Discord question of the week. We are going to dive into Crypted Corner and maybe something else. I don't know. We'll just see. We'll see where we end up. I have a lot of things available for us to get into, but I don't always have a rock solid plan. So, we could get a call in that takes a half hour or 20 minutes. You never know. It's just kind of just an open course in front of us. And we have 2 hours to fill, and by God, we're going to fill it with as much wonder and awe as we can squeeze into this time frame. So I hope you guys are having a great Saturday. Again, thank you. It's always an incredible feeling to know that I turn on the lights and so many of you show up and take part in this and have made it a home of your own. I appreciate it. Good to see you. John Temperance here. Kevin YPF is here. Deb is here. Good to see you, Deb. Good to see you all. I don't mean to single out one person and screw the rest of you. Sorry, that sounds terrible. But I'm just doing a few shout outs as I see them. Rachel's here. John Temprin, Aggravated Progressive. Let's see. Mom is here, as I said. And who else? Who else am I missing? Audio's here. Oh, good to see you, Audio. Thanks. We love you too. That's outstanding. It's good that you found the show and are making yourself at home here. That's the idea. I mean, we want to have as many people here as we can having the discussion and just trading ideas. And again, I would like to encourage any of you that are listening, if you're not already a member, please become a member of our Discord. That's where a lot of the chatting continues after the shows and such. There's generally some conversations going on, and people are trading links and information over there, so it's pretty awesome. I was just going through there this evening a little bit, and it's just really cool. I haven't had a chance to really look at many of the links, but the information you guys are putting up there over there is incredible. So, Chucky remembered. Thank you, Chucky, for remembering. I appreciate it for being a channel member. That's outstanding, brother. Thank you so much. I hope everybody's having a wonderful weekend too. But get involved in the Discord if you're not already. It's wide open door for all. The link is in the description. I guess I can put it in the chat here too. Let me just do that quick. I got to make sure my little cursor's blinking in the right spots and say to join the Discord. https://discord.gg/paranormal portal. All one word, and that'll get you in the door and bring you right there. And we'll get into more about that when we hit the Discord question of the week. Special thanks to Chucky as well. He's been spearheading the question of the week for a while now, and it's been a great relief to me. Thank you, Chucky. It's helping me a ton not to have to worry about that part of the show. You've been amazing, brother, so thank you so much. And if you guys enjoy the question of the week, give Chucky a pat on the back. That guy's been taking care of business for sure. So Raymond Brown, Raymond, is that Raymond Brown? You know, I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm just looking at the chat. There's all these other conversations going on, and I'm jumping in like I belong. I'm just trying to belong, guys. Trying to fit in. And if you're a YouTube channel member, remind you that on Tuesday nights at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, I do a members only stream right here on the YouTube channel. So if you are a member, if you have a green name, or if you want to get a green name and become a member, you can show up for those. But again, they're at 7 p.m. on Tuesday nights. So we've been having a lot of fun, just having real low-key kind of kickback. I think last Tuesday I talked about everywhere I've worked, all the different jobs I've done, and how good I did at some of them and how terrible I did at others. It's like anything else. Nobody's good at everything, but I've done a little bit of everything. I did a lot of different jobs. So I don't know. It's just a chance for me to kick back and talk with you guys. You're doing the live shows, of course. I have an agenda. I have links that I got to read articles. I've got to, keep up with things and make sure everything's running. But on the Tuesday streams, it's been really cool and just kick back and relax with you guys. And if you got questions, ask, and I'm happy to talk about whatever. And if I'm not, I'll tell you. I wouldn't say that I'm an open book, but I'm certainly not a exceptionally guarded person. I'm happy to talk about most everything with you guys if there's things you want to know. But it's just a way to say thank you to some of you, those of you that have become members of the channel, because it does help support the vision and the future and the growth of the show. And so I just want to give you guys as much value as I can, and maybe hanging out with me is worth something. I don't know. I'm just trying it out. But it's been a lot of fun for me as well, because again, during the regular shows, I'm doing stuff. I'm busy. I can't just dive into the conversations. But on those Tuesday nights, we just kick back and have a good time. So I'd love for you to join me again if you're a member. Tuesday nights, 7 p.m. channel member shows. Be there. I'd love to see you. E-Rev just came in. Good to see you, E-Rev. Woot. Great to see you. Lucky Gypsies here. Chad Votaw came in. Good to see you, Chad. Husky Lights. That's a new name, right? Hey, great. I caught a live. You did. Thank you, Husky, for catching the live. It's good to see you. Hopefully you enjoy the live. I'm assuming you've caught the replays. So I guess you know what you're in for. I don't need to give you the disclaimer like, hey, just lower your expectations. It's fine. So we just like to have a good time on the show all the time. If you are new to the channel, like this is your first time checking out, just know the paranormal is creepy enough all by itself. And this isn't one of those dramatic shows where it's like, I'm going to put on a real husky, whispery voice and try to make it really creepy. It's not like that. This stuff is creepy enough on its own, but we'd like to have a good time. We like to have, I mean, we take the subject matter seriously as well. Don't get me wrong. It's not all just yuck all night, but I like to have a relaxing, fun show, and we cover a little bit of everything on every show. We do some cryptids, we do some ghost, we do some UFO, we do some strange phenomena, other things like maybe black-eyed kids, which is coming up later, and other stuff, strange phenomena like, the Bermuda Triangle or UFO phenomena or whatever. So we cover a lot of everything on these live shows. It's more of a variety show is kind of my view of it. It's just, let's dive into different stuff and have talk. So, and we do these shows Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday night at 7 p.m. right here on YouTube. If you're listening on TFR Live, tune in, talk stream live as well. That's corresponding to the simulcast to the live stream on YouTube. So if you're listening to my voice and you're like, whoa, what's going on? I can't see anything. Well, come over to youtube.com/paranormal portal and you can see more. At least you can see me in the space I've set up for the shows. It's kind of a nice setup, I think. I don't know. I like it. Anyway, I'm a little animated today. I just, I don't know. I've been kind of bouncing off the walls the last few days, so I just got this overabundance of energy. And so I'm taking it out on all of you. Lucky you came in. So I guess without further ado, I've been flapping my lips for a while, so let's get to the news and see if you will learn something tonight. Maybe you will. Let's see. Ready, set, go. Me too, Roger. Me too. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the most trusted news is here. Finally. And hopefully you enjoy it. Let's see what we got first. I got to put on my camera, I guess. That's the first thing. So you can see something other than the black screen. But I pulled up a few articles for you tonight, a couple from unexplained-mysteries.com and one from whatever, Sky News, I guess. Sky News. Thanks, Rachel. I'm still using that every once in a while. Thank you. All right. Never mind. Let's get to the first article tonight, and we'll dive into this and see just what's up. Here's kind of an interesting one. I don't know if this is actually true or not. I guess this person would know, but apparently the monarchy in England is more than just ceremonial. It seems. But tell me what you think. This is a first article tonight. Comes from unexplained-mysteries.com, and it is dealing with the UFO phenomena. This is Nick Pope says, King Charles can reveal the truth about UFOs with one phone call. Really? Wow. So he could just blow the lid off of it if he chose to. Charles could. Well, that's. I don't think he's going to. So I'm not sure that information really helps a bunch, but I guess it's good to know. This is from October 21st, which is today, by TK Randall. Again, unexplained-mysteries.com. Please support this site. Help out what they're doing. They're doing some incredible stuff over here. And this TK Randall, I don't know who this is, but man, they are just killing it. Every article on this site is TK Randall. So if it's a pseudonym or if it's an actual, just a singular person, my hat's off to him. But anyway, it says the king has a hotline to those who have all the answers concerning the UFO phenomena, Pope claims. Interest in UFOs among the British royal family is certainly nothing new. The king's late father, the Duke of Edinburgh, was famously intrigued by the subject and possessed quite a large collection of documents, books, and files pertaining to the phenomena. Now Nick Pope, who once headed I don't know if he headed it though. What did he head it? I thought he was kind of more of a desk jockey, but maybe he was more administrative than I knew. Now Nick Pope, who once headed the UFO investigation desk, I guess it's a desk. He headed a desk at the Ministry of Defense, now has suggested that King Charles has a hotline to those in the know and that he could potentially lift the lid off the whole mystery with only a single phone call. Such a move, he argues, could kickstart UFO investigation proceedings in the UK, similar to those recently seen in the US, such as the congressional hearing held earlier this year. Yeah. If the king doesn't want to appear to be directly involved, he also has the option to petition members of parliament to bring up the topic instead. Someone has to go first, and yes, it's a big, brave step, Pope said in an interview for upcoming UFO documentary, The King of UFOs, which will be releasing in November. You don't want to be the politician associated with flying saucers if that's the way it's spun, but politicians can be very astute at times, and it's very easy, particularly if you have the overt or covert royal support, to frame your interest as a commitment to open government or concerns over defense and flight safety. That's how the politicians in the U.S. handle it, and it's a perfectly legitimate interest to have. In fact, it's bizarre if you weren't concerned about the flight safety, especially when we have pilots and radar operators speaking about it. Whether or not King Charles has any genuine interest in pursuing the topic, however, remains unclear. Yeah, for all we know, Charles is like resentful of UFOs because like, Dad never played with me. He only was interested in UFOs. I don't know if Charles got a lot of dad time when he was growing up or not, but anyway, he apparently could blow the lid right off of it. So we got that going for us. And that was the first article up on the board for tonight. Did you know that before? I didn't. So I know I learned something. Next up is, geez, I'm gurgling like a freaking rattlesnake. There we go. Quick drink just to settle it all in. Next up is, I don't know, this one had a weird headline. And I was like, I don't know if I'm reading this right. So I thought, well, we better cover it. Because I don't know if there's some more to the story, but I just largely pull up these articles based on the headlines. So I haven't read through them until I do it live on the show, which has worked to my detriment many times, just because it'll end up being an extraordinarily long document, and it's like, I don't have time for this. But anyway, over 30 years ago, Carl Sagan successfully detected life on Earth. Yeah, I don't know what that means. I didn't think that was still in question. I thought we had that part sorted. But let's see what it says. October 21st, 2023. Oh, this doesn't say TK Randall. So that's the first one I think I've ever seen that didn't say that. But it says Sagan and his colleagues used instruments aboard the Galileo spacecraft to conduct a very important control experiment. So they were testing the devices, huh? It's been 30 years since a group of scientists led by Carl Sagan found evidence for life on Earth using data from instruments on board the NASA Galileo robotic spacecraft. Yes, you read that correctly. Among his many pearls of wisdom, Sagan was famous for saying that science is more than a body of knowledge. It's a way of thinking. Okay. In other words, how humans go about business of discovering new knowledge is at least as important as the knowledge itself. In this vein, the study was an example of a control experiment, a critical part of the scientific method. Well, there you go. This is another one of those really long ones that I'm not going to read all of, because obviously what happened was they just tested the instruments and found, yep, there's life here, so we can trust it to see if there's life somewhere else, I guess. Interesting. Was this a great pearl of wisdom? No, not really. You'll never get that time back. That's all I'm going to say about that one. But whatever. Okay. Now we're going to move on to the third and final article of tonight on the news. And this one has got to be just about as horrible a heartbreaker as I can imagine. I mean, you know, everybody, I think, listening to the sound of my voice has been on a vacation. You've been out and you've explored places. You've been abroad or just places far from home. And you go and you sleep in these weird beds and you have strange food. Sometimes those strange foods don't agree with you. But sometimes even at the end of a beautiful vacation, it's kind of nice to look forward to just going home. Just going back home. But Not for this person. All right, and this is from Sky News. Woman returns from holiday to find her Atlanta home mistakenly demolished. Whoa. Oh my God, would that suck? A neighbor phoned Susan Hodgson while she was away and asked if someone had been hired to tear down her property because workers had just demolished the whole house. Oh God, that would be horrible. A woman came back from holiday to find her Atlanta home had been mistakenly demolished while she was away. Susan Hodgson found a pile of rubble. Oh my God. In place of what used to be her longtime family property when she returned from holiday. She told WAGA TV. I'm just left with a big old mess, Miss Hodgson said. She said a neighbor called her while she was away and asked if someone had been hired to tear down her vacant house. I said no, and she said, well, there's someone over here who just demolished the whole house and tore the entire house down, Mrs. Hodgson said, or Ms. Hodgson said. When the neighbor confronted the workers, Miss Hodgson said she was told to shut up and mind her own business. Really, they just weren't going to take a moment to humor this lady. Miss Hodgson sent a family member over who asked the workers for a permit. When one of the workers checked the permit, Miss Hodgson said he admitted he was at the wrong address. Oh my God. The house the house did not have anyone living there when it was demolished, Miss Hodgson said. We keep it boarded and covered, grass cut, and the yard is clean. The taxes are paid and everything is up on it. She had just not heard. She said she's not heard anything from the company responsible. It's just hard to believe someone thinks they have the right to just come and tear something up and walk away from it and didn't come back and say, I'm sorry. What do I need to do to fix this? It was an accident. They didn't give me nothing, Miss Hodgson said. I think he owes us an apology. They owe you more than an apology, lady. And he needs to fix the problem, she added. The company did not immediately return a telephone message left by the Associated Press in a statement to WAGA TV. The company said it is investigating and working to resolve the mishap. Yeah, just, get your tax guy on the phone or your insurance guy on the phone because you're going to be writing a check. Oh, my God. No, it's good. It's good that was just basically a dormant property. I mean, it wasn't quote unquote abandoned, but it was not supposed to be demolished. It was apparently a livable place. It just nobody was living there at the time. But what a horrible mess. Oh my God. I would have all kinds of new rage words to use if that was me. There's no question. What a horrible thing. I mean, and just the smugness to shut up and mind your own business. Well, I think maybe you should mind your business and check an address a couple times before you start the machines. That's pretty tragic. Oh my God. Huh. We're from Progressive. We're here to help. Yeah, it's gonna need some progressive help for sure. But there you go. I think that's a nightmare scenario for sure. I feel really bad for them. Again, it wasn't a primary address, obviously, but it still was a family home and didn't need demolishing apparently. So that's absolutely horrible. But you might not have heard of that before, so you're welcome. But that's going to wrap it up for the news. Let's get back to the rest of the show and find out just what else I got cooking here, because there's things on every burner. I'm just here to tell you. All right, let's check it out. Just info. You just had to take the romance out of it. Just info says Paranormal Portal. If you simply Google who TK Randall is, from Unexplained Mysteries. He is the founder of the website in 2001. He basically copies and pastes some articles, adding his own twists. Well, yeah, that kind of de-romanticizes it a lot. I was just thinking of somebody just really dedicated and driven and so it's just a cut and paste jockey. Well, I'm still impressed either way, because obviously they work hard at cutting and pasting, and they did do their own twists. So that's neat. Elijah JB Gamer, how you doing, buddy? That's my little one. There he is. Check out his website too. His YouTube. He's got a gamer page. It's on YouTube and doing pretty good. It's got over 1,000 subs. Kids kicking it. But anyway, that was the news. Hope you guys enjoyed that. As we get to more of the fun-filled evening that lies ahead of us, because I've got more. There's more, because coming up is I really do love this segment, and even though we've pared it down to just one night a week, I still think it's awesome, and I'm glad that we're continuing it. I'm glad that we're getting a lot of participation on it. It's one of the reasons we cut it back from 3 nights to 1 was because the participation was kind of flagging, and so it was like, well, maybe it's too much. We'll just tone it down to 1 question a week and see how that goes. But you guys have been incredibly engaged again, which is really warming my heart, because I do love hearing what you guys have to say about these different phenomena. And I'm talking about, of course, is the Discord question of the week, which is what we're going to be getting into next here. And without further ado, let's get into it. Oops, I got to do this. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Discord question of the week, and this is where we pose a question to all of you, our Discord members, and just to see what you think about the different ideas or subjects that pertain to the paranormal. And I think this is really incredible. Again, I think you guys have brought things to the table that I never would have gotten to organically by myself. Just new ways of looking at things, new ways of thinking about the phenomena and what it could be or what could be going on. So all of our, varied insights really do enrich the experience. And so I really have had a lot of fun reading your guys' take on these things. And so I was kind of feeling bad when it didn't look like, well, maybe we're not going to be able to continue this. Maybe it's just not something you guys are having a lot of fun with. But it's good to see that has changed and there's much more involvement again. So because I love your thoughts. So basically we ask a question to our Discord community and gives you guys a chance to weigh in with your thoughts on it. And as Wes always says on Sasquatch Chronicles, there's no wrong answers. And it's true, because we don't know what's going on in any of this stuff. Really, we don't know. We have ideas, we have theories, we have probably a lot of supposition, but we don't have many or any really facts other than people are seeing and experiencing things and it doesn't make sense. And that is a fact. Being a person that's experienced many things myself, and I don't know, but that's what drives me, every time that I do a show or do a podcast, is just to try to figure out what's going on here. So that's the spirit behind the Discord question of the week. And again, thank you, Chucky. You've been killing it, brother. I appreciate it a bunch. And after this part, we'll be doing, what is that? No, I don't know. That must be a refresh. I don't see it. Let me just go over here. Do you guys see those lines racing across the ghost radar up here, like in 3s? I don't understand what that is. Are you guys seeing that as well on YouTube? I'm moving my mouse right here on your screen in the ghost radar, because it's not on the display. I don't see that on my display at all over on the other screen, but I see it here. Yeah, it's just strange. That's very unusual. Maybe it's because it's not drawing out all the individual grid lines, and the grid does move. It shifts, over time towards this direction slowly. So maybe it's just animating a few of them because it's small. I don't know. That's strange. Anyway, never noticed that before, but I'm noticing it now. So anyway, let's get to the question of the week. And tonight's question of the week, With the date having recently come and gone, it should have done this question last week. Do you think that there's any real significance to Friday the 13th as an association with bad luck? Just want to say up front, I've always had great Friday the 13th. I've never had bad days. At least generally they're at least just benign, like just another day. But some of my great days in my life have occurred on Friday the 13th. So I seem to be kind of contrary as far as that's concerned. But let's see what you guys said. Pineapple Tango's coming up first. Says, personally, I understand why people associate the number 13 with the bad luck. However, I feel like for the most part, the number 13 makes people highly aware of the little things that we wouldn't have given a second thought to any other day. That's a great take. So just by thinking about it being, oh, is this a bad day? You're like hyper vigilant and aware. And so things that you might normally have just discarded become so much more poignant. Like, ooh, yeah, it's happening. It's the bad luck day. Maybe. That's a great take. Thank you, Pineapple. Great thought. K-Love comes in next and says, yes, I think so, because of the burning of the Knights Templar. And in there, she clipped the arrest of the Knights Templar in 1307. And this is what Nase was talking about as well when he was on the show on the 13th. He said, one of the earliest documented instances of misfortune came 716 years ago on October 13th, 1307, when French King Philip IV accused the Knights Templar, a fearsome group of warriors of the Temple of Solomon, of a wide range of offenses, including heresy and blasphemy. Yeah, I mean, it was just an ugly, ugly thing. So, anyway, what's going on? Got a message. Wants to know how to get the invite. The invite to what? Roger, what are you looking for? An invite to what? Mom's just letting me know you're looking for an invite. Let me get to that quick. I don't know what invite you're looking for. Roger Wilco. Oh, did Chucky answer you? Oh yeah, it is. It should have been pinned. I thought I pinned it. I'll put it up here, Roger. That's great. I must not have pinned it. My apologies. Discord link :https. I guess I did miss that. Not AS. :discord.gg/paranormal portal. And then I will link it as well. I got to put a couple dots there to get so I can, because I got that heart icon in there now. And that thing gets in the way of everything. I think it's a cute idea, but it doesn't have to be there. Pin message. Okay, now it's pinned at the top of the chat. So if you want the link to the Discord, this is where you get it. All right. Mods, feel free to copy that as well if you would. And then if the question ever comes up in chat, just copy paste it back into the chat. That'd be cool. But anyway, all right. So thank you, K-Love. That's a great take. Chasing Mountain Builders comes in next. It says, I look through the hermetic lens generally, and I believe our thoughts can deeply influence, if not outright control, our sphere of reality. Very true. So if using the law of vibration, if you're projecting bad luck energy, you will attract it. Yeah, there's the old thoughts regarding that. Some called it vibration, some called it frequency, some called it magnetism in the old esoteric arts. But yeah, I think there's no doubt. We create our experience. If you create everybody has that person, and maybe you've been through a period of your own life where it doesn't matter what you did, you're just going to get hammered. You're going to get hammered. You're going to get hammered. You're going to get hammered. And maybe it's a subconscious thing because you're just walking down the wrong path, and it's maybe the super ego or whatever, or the super consciousness that we all have that's going, no, you're going wrong. Nothing's going to work out for you this way because it's not the path you should be on. So you manifest. Now, I think that a lot of people really trivialize the whole idea that you manifest your own reality. Like, well, if I think I'm going to be in a good mood, I'll be in a good mood because I'll be happy and expecting happy things. And yeah, that's part of it. But I think we actually really do manifest the reality of our lives. And for the most part, I mean, there are sometimes extenuating circumstances that go beyond our control. But I think that generally speaking, we are much more empowered than we believe we are to create the world that we want to live in, or at least the reality that we want to live in. I think that we very fundamentally affect the world around us. And so I'm with you. I'm with you very much on that, CMB. I think you're right. Karen Alberding says, nope. I think it's what you make of it. It's just another day of the week to me. I've had plenty of other days that have been far worse than Friday the 13th, and it's no difference to me. It's all a person's mindset, like most things, yeah. Think negative thoughts, negative things will come your way. Think positive thoughts, you may get some negative things that happen, but overall, you'll have more positivity in your life, and that's my feeling. Yeah, it's neat. Even though, this is part of what I love about this segment is that we all have our own vocabulary, but so far everybody's pretty much saying the same things, which is great. And I agree with all of you. ZX81V2 said it's only unfortunate for the ones after the Knights Templar. Friday the 13th is a good day for most. Templar it's the day they escaped France. Oh, good take. That's true. Yeah, I mean, they did get away for the most part and went different directions. So it's not like that was their ultimate doom. I think some of them didn't, though. And it was a tragedy in that, that esteemed group of people, which I don't, I mean, history is written by by the victors. So who knows if they were really as altruistic as we're led to believe, but we're led to believe that they were. And so it is a tragedy that they were accused of such things and then, hunted because, after all that they had given, that just seems like, well, I mean, maybe the same things are happening today. Who knows? Maybe nothing's changed really, but it is a horrible thing that people can be wrongfully accused of things. The Batman is coming up next. Says, yeah, Friday the 13th is only bad luck if you were a Knights Templar. And that is where that particular meme originated. Everything else is just confirmation bias and selective memory. Yeah, I think it's just a day. It's just another chalk on the calendar week. ZX81V2 and Jason. They escaped France and Jason. They escaped Jason too. Raw MMJ says, I could never prove it in any time period. I believe 1 year the planets all aligned on Friday the 13th and some magic events took place. They were memorable and everybody got totally feeling it together so much that maybe it happens a few times in history, but not really now. Got other events like UFOs and time travel that correlate to this time era period on the timeline. Okay, yeah. I'm not sure what you're saying exactly, but I appreciate your input either way. Yeah. All right. Mel's Shepherdess comes in next. I never knew about the Knights Templar. I guess I'm late to the show, but interesting to learn about it. I've always thrown Friday the 13th into the superstition pile, like walking under a ladder, stepping on cracks, etc. Sawi. Yeah, I think, again, if you believe walking under a ladder is bad luck, it'll become bad luck for you. But, generally speaking, I think it's all what you manufacture for yourself. I think you guys are all right. I agree with you. Arc Blaster says, no, I believe events are often serendipitous, yet speaking in such a blanket term is technically biased. So take my opinion with a grain of salt. Someone most likely did experience bad luck or general misfortune on the Friday the 13th. Right. But that could be said for every day of the calendar. Like, well, somebody's got a bad day today, so it must be a bad day. But no, I appreciate what you're saying. Absolutely. As with every other day, ZX81V2 says, yeah, exactly. Excuse me. More of this, more of that says, had to be in LA by 10 a.m., started to leave house at 9. My car had a dead battery. I had to scramble to jumpstart my own car with my old 1990 GMC. Yikes. Thank goodness I remembered high school auto class. What? I guess this must have happened, huh? I'm glad you made it. But okay. Anyway, moving on to the next one. ZX81V2, lol, it never rains, it pours. Grats on Jumpstart. Oh, there you go. Sure. Rachel comes in next saying, No, I don't think there's a significant difference with Friday being on the 13th. With popular culture being what it is, there could be people acting out with that being a motive. Also, superstition can cause people to look through the lens of fear on that date, pointing to any chance unfortunate situation and calling it the Friday the 13th curse. Sure. Yeah, exactly. Trace comes in. How you doing, Trace? Nothing unlucky on Friday the 13th, unless you're in 1307 running from the Roman Church. My name means 13, and being French and Norwegian, Freya, Friday is good for me. And all those soldiers she saved. Oh, cool. I didn't know that Trace was meant 13, but that's cool. Very cool. Is that Trace? Like, once 14, 15... Once, doce, trece. Yeah, trece. Okay. I think it's just Trace. Don't you just pronounce it Trace, though? Or is it pronounced Trace? But either way, cool. It's suggestion alone. Maybe Broxy just made it in under the wire here. Very cool. Yeah, very good. And again, it's really cool that you're all saying it in your own words, but we're all basically on the same page here. So that means we're all right. Everybody's correct. Well done. Again, no wrong answers. It could be whatever you believe it is, really. But that's interesting. Very interesting. But thank you to everybody that took part in this. Thank you again, Chucky, for making it happen. And please join the Discord. We'd love to have you over here. Joey just came in. Joey, how you doing? Good to see you. Broxy just came in and just contributed to that. So perfect. Great to see you. Joey and Broxy, welcome to the Discord. Hope you enjoy yourself. And if you look on the left-hand side, these are all the different discussion threads. If you're not familiar with Discord, there's a group up here. Where is it? Discord tutorial. If you click on this, it has some videos to walk you through using Discord. It might help if you're brand new to it. But yeah, I mean, Discord's not hard to use. It's just maybe a little awkward. Once you figure out how to do things, it's really blindingly easy. So love to have you continue to be a part of it. Yeah. All right. Thank you so much, everybody. And this has been a production of The Question of the Week. All right. There you go. So that was very cool. Thank you, everybody. And good to see you. All right. So Ramon is here. How you doing? Love you too, buddy. Bruddy. I said bruddy. That's like brother and buddy. Crunched together as bruddy. Sorry. Yeah, we love you too. Let's do some shout outs if you guys don't mind. It's Broxy, you dork. Who's Broxy? Who's Broxy? Is that you, Roger? Are you Broxy? Okay. I didn't know. All right, let's do shout outs. So if you want to shout out, just say something in the chat and it will populate my list of participants. I'll give you just about a minute to do that, or a few seconds to do that. And then I'll commence with saying, hi, you're here. Oh, ginger ale. I kind of like ginger ale. I'm absolutely fanatical about Coca-Cola, but I can't drink it too much because it's not good to my aging frame. And it definitely isn't good for my weight loss efforts, which already are struggling. But yeah, Canada Dry. It's nice and light and refreshing. It's a refreshing drink. Somebody recommended that when I was sick. Like, oh, ginger ale. Like, okay, well, I was at the store and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to try that. And you were right. I mean, I don't know if it made me feel better, but it was just nice and wet and hydrating. So it felt good. It eats battery acid. What does? Coca-Cola? Yeah, I wish it ate fat. Then I'd be in business. I'd be like ready for my Baywatch scenes. Yeah. All right. Well, that's enough time for the shout outs preparation. Let's see who's here. Let's see who's in the house. All right, let's go to participants here. We got audio in here. Batman's in here. Brenda Joe. Chad Votaw. Charky Danger's in here. E-Rev. Elijah JB. How you doing, little buddy? James Fredkey is here. Or Fedkey. How do you say that? Fedkey. Yeah, sorry. John Temperin. Oh, somebody else. Hardwick Big D came in. Good to see you, Hardwick. John Temperin, Karen Alberding, a little too spicy's in here. Or is it spicy enough? Maggie M10, Matthew Learned, RJ Windwalker, Rachel Gets It Right, Ramon Laturga is here, Renee Cruz, Nick Wagerson, Roger Wilco, Ron the Sage, The Fourth Color, Tracy Gale, Trace Linnell, and Wizard Moon. All you guys are here. Did I miss somebody? I thought somebody else popped up, but I don't see. Oh, Cool Hand popped in. Cool Hand. Good to see you guys. Thank you so much for being here. As always. Where's all my chat? Come on. Like all my chat disappeared. There it is. Finally came back. It was like my whole chat page was empty all of a sudden. Crazy, I tell ya. All right. So what time do we got now? 7:43. We're still doing groovy. We're doing groovy. Let me look at this. I got to see because I had something. We got a Black Eyed Kids story to go over tonight too. I might do that before the Cryptids, but this one I might do before the Cryptids too. Because it's not really a Cryptid story per se. It's just kind of spooky. I got several Cryptid stories as well, but that's Black Eyed. I got two Black Eyed Kids adult things. Well, Black Eyed People stories coming up tonight, and I got a couple over here from the Sasquatch Chronicles as well. So I want to do this one first because I think it looks lovely. This one is going to be coming from Phantoms and Monsters, ladies and gentlemen, and this is Lon Strickler's site. Lon's been on the show several times and wonderful guy, just a lot of fun to talk to. In fact, his appearance on our live show will be on the podcast this coming week. We've transitioned it from the YouTube to the podcast to air on the podcast this week. So if you didn't catch the YouTube show, that's okay, because if you're listening to the podcast, you'll hear it there. It's going to be a two-parter, so it'll be another Monday, Thursday release, and you can check out our conversation with Lon. It was good talk. Lon's one of those guys that's real easy to have an easy conversation with him. He's been at it forever, but phantomsandmonsters.com is a great site, so please support it. Stop over there and check out what he's doing. He's a prolific author as well. He's published several books. I think 7 so far, maybe more, but you can check out a listing of those if you go over to phantomsandmonsters.com. The site itself is a repository of thousands of encounter stories. Dealing with dogmen, dealing with Bigfoot, dealing with winged humanoids like the Mothman, and dealing with lots of other weirdness and oddities. So if you're into this stuff, which I'm assuming you are because you're here, head over there and check it out. And you can find information on his podcast, which is Phantoms and Monsters Radio. I love the Sasquatch statue by the crystal ball in the background there. This was sent to me. This was sent to me. I can't remember who sent it, but it's a 3D print. I don't know if you can really see it. It's done on a 3D printer. And he sent, the gentleman who sent it does a lot of 3D printing, but he sent this in its, I'm terrible with names. I should have wrote on the bottom who it was. That's because I'm stupid and I didn't do that. But you guys have sent in some amazing stuff, but yeah, I love this. I love everything you guys have sent. There's some incredible stuff you guys have sent to me for the studio. Most of it, most of it I have to get ways to secure it to the wall because I need frames or some kind of mounting. But the Sasquatch I get to put up there. Yeah, he's pretty cool. Pretty darn cool. So anyway, let's get to this right now. We're going to go to a Phantoms and Monsters article. And this is, whoa. In another rookie move. Yeah, you know, I do know what I'm doing usually, but I got to automate some things maybe. I don't know what I got to do. I got to do something though. Phantomsandmonsters.com brings us Nebraska farmhand letters from his dead wife. I think, God, that sounds weird or wonderful or spooky. I'm not sure what to make of it, but I was like, oh, this would be a good one to cover. It's not your normal story. It says the bizarre piece was published in the Chicago Tribune on January 2nd, 1888. Wow. Nebraska letter to Kansas City Journal. Sorry, my eye's kind of burning. William S. How do you say that? Amison, farmhand, worked for a man by the name of Bills. By the name of Bills. Okay. Guy had one name. His name was Bills. About 14 miles west of the city. Was in the city of Friday and related a strange story, which in substance was as follows. Letters from his dead wife. Yeah, there's the old headline from the newspaper. He says he was married in Illinois about 6 years ago, and 3 years later his wife died very suddenly. He attended the funeral and, as a matter of course, looked for the last time upon the face that he had loved in life, now cold in death. Saw the coffin closed, lowered into the grave, and heard that awful sound as the earth from the gravedigger's shovel fell upon the coffin lid that hid from sight all that he held dear in this world. Shortly after the death and burial of his wife, he moved to Kansas, and for the last year has been in Nebraska. In all this, there is nothing singular. Such things happen every day. Now comes the strange part of the story. He says, shortly after he reached Kansas, he received a letter dated and postmarked at his old home in Illinois, signed by his wife's name, Lulu, and unmistakably in her handwriting. Of this latter fact, he is assured, as he compared the handwriting with that of several letters received from his wife before his marriage, which he still has in his possession. She said in the letter that she was very lonely, missed him greatly, and implored him to return to her. The only singular thing to one not knowing the facts of the case was the sentence something like this: "You all thought I died, but I did not, and am very much better than when I saw you last." In the latter part of the sentence, Amison could or would not attempt an explanation. Otherwise, the letter was such as any wife might write to an absent husband. Since then, at regular intervals, he has received other letters, all couched in endearing language, but making no attempt to explain the mystery. One came from Concordia, Kansas, near which place he was located before coming to Nebraska. In this, the writer bitterly bewailed the fact of his leaving before she reached him. Ooh, that's giving me chills. At first, Amison thought that some of his former acquaintances in Illinois were playing a ghastly practical joke, but after receiving several letters, began to feel disturbed and sent them back to his wife's parents in Illinois. They agreed with him that the handwriting was that of their daughter, but could offer no explanation. He answered one of the letters addressing it Mrs. W.S. Amison, and it was returned to him at his city from the dead letter office. The last letter received from his wife came about 3 weeks ago, dated at Table Rock, this state, and stated that Lulu was there, sick, out of money, and asking him to come to her relief. Amison left immediately upon receipt of this letter for Table Rock. Upon investigating after his arrival, he found that a woman had been at the hotel there, arriving several days before he did. She was sick, and when she reached there, confided to her room most of the time and left after a week's stay for no one knew where. In the register at the hotel, he found the name Mrs. Lulu Amison, with no place of residence being given. The handwriting was identical to that of the letters he had received. The description of the woman given by people at the hotel was almost identical to that of his wife the last time that he saw her alive. There was slight discrepancies, but nothing but what 3 years' time accounts for. Amison, now thoroughly aroused and determined to get to the bottom of the affair, left at once for Illinois and had the remains of his wife exhumed, finding them as they had been buried. There could be no mistake about that. The question is, who sent the letters, and who is this woman? Mr. Amison was a fairly educated man, not at all superstitious, but acknowledges that the affair has worried him a great deal. His reputation here is good, and his employer speaks very highly of him. He says if he receives any more letters, he will not follow them to trouble him, but will make an earnest effort to discover their author, and when he does, has promised to tell what happens. How's that for Creep City? Wow. That's a good Halloween letter, right? Or a Halloween story. That's really bizarre. Again, could it have been just a Halloween article written by somebody, just something clever? Maybe. I wouldn't have put it past old newspapers to publish a lot of fluff. Just intrigue, articles of intrigue. Doesn't have to be grounded in fact. In fact, I'm sure the laws were pretty much non-applicable to any kind of journalism. Not that they're much more applicable nowadays, but you know what I mean. Yeah, I think it's. I don't know. I'd love to think that there was something to that, and maybe there is. Maybe it truly is what was supposed to be a very legitimate phenomenon that happened, but it's. I don't know. It's so far removed from the source. It's not like we're getting the story from him. We're getting the story from a newspaper article that's been written and published by, who knows who. And so I wouldn't dismiss the possibility that it's just a fabrication for sensationalism. But if it's real, that's creepy. That's creepy as hell. But I don't know. What would you do? What would you do? What would you do if it was yours? I mean, let's say you just put to rest the love of your life and then started receiving letters. Would you go look? Would you? I don't know. And what if you did and it was really the person, but obviously not the person because you put the person in the ground. So what is that? Is that a doppelganger thing, or what is it going on? Is that a dimensional thing or something? I don't know. Creepy. Tracy says, nope. Nope. I'm sorry, but I don't know. Batman, I'm sorry. I don't know. So, well, anyway, I don't know. Just a strange story, very strange story, but I think it's a great story. It's just, I don't know if I could suspend all belief and just believe that somehow this woman was in some manner resurrected from the grave. I'd be so pissed, honestly. Because you'd be sure it was a hoax. Is that what you're saying, Miss Firejack? Is that what you're saying? I'm wondering because I'm wondering where you guys are coming. Brent's doppelganger is Captain Hook. Are you landlubbers? No, I don't. I can't even say it. I can't even say it because it's so weirdly inappropriate. The whole Captain Hook thing, and dealing with a bunch of kids. It's like, I'm going to stay way away from that. So let's not call me Captain Hook. Let's not do that. Okay. Let's say Blackbeard or something. That's fine. That was good. Now then, back to water. Today's show is brought to you by the letters O, M, and G. Oh, we got a call. Let's see who's on the phone. Someone's calling us. All right, area code 865. You're on the air.
Hey, what's up? This is Roger.
Hey, Roger. How you doing, man?
Man, I am super spooked by that last story.
Yeah, me too. That's creepy.
And look, I think there's like a little clue there about if it's real or not. It sounds it's very well written. I mean, it really is. It's so well written that I'm connected to it. It flows, and it's just everything about it screams fiction to me. Yeah. It's fun. It's just it seems professional.
Right.
Anyway, I love it. I think it's a great story. Twilight Zone episode, would have been killer or something like that.
Oh yeah.
But look, man, this one I'm calling about, and I hope you dig it. I live in Oak Ridge, Tennessee, and I've had a couple weird UFO sightings lately, and I was just going to call and tell you about them real quick.
Please do. I'd love to hear
it. I've had two, actually.
Fantastic.
Okay. Okay, so the first one I had, I was walking my dog, and I saw, we have two small airports around here, and one of them they do lessons, and they fly really low, and so anyway, they're very obvious and loud.
Sure.
But so you get used to seeing airplanes, you get used to seeing them at different altitudes, and you get used to the lights on them, and all that kind of stuff. Okay, so
right.
I'm paying attention to this object in the sky, and it's a light, and I'm looking to see, a green or a red light strobe on it, or a white one, anything like that. I don't see any lights, and I start thinking, because it's moving in one direction, I start thinking, if it's weird, if it's a UFO, wouldn't it be crazy if it flew just right over my head?
Oh.
And then I just my dog's pulling on the leash, and so I start walking, kind of forget about it, and I look up, and here it comes over the tree and flies and stops right over my head, and it missed me. I'd kind of forgotten about it for a moment, but there it came. It came right back, and it came right over me, and it set right over my head, and anyway, I had to continue walking my dog, but it was kind of neat. But the next one that I saw was with my son, and it's a little more strange.
Okay.
But and I saw this a red light, and we like to stargaze.
Okay.
So we have an area where where it's very dark, and we go. And anyway, so we were looking at the sky, and we were like, oh, is this Mars? And I don't know if this time of year we can see it. And just talking about the sky, and because we see a red star. Well, we're walking, so there's like a parallax effect, so we can't really tell that it's slowly moving, but then we realize it is. Oh. And we stop and we stand still, and we realize that it's moving straight up, and it's kind of coming close. We start talking about it, and it starts kind of veering closer to us. Oh. And as I was looking at it, I said, no, we don't want anything to do with you. And it instantly went out.
Wow. That's cool.
Yeah, dude, it was really spooky. It's spooky. Yeah, but that was just like 2 days ago.
Wow.
So it was real recent. Yeah, man, it was.
When was
really,
the first
my son
one?
was with me, so I'm glad, because it was that spooky. I said that.
Yeah.
And it just popped right out. So yeah.
When was the very first one? Where it went overhead?
Pardon me? What?
How long ago was the very first one where it went over your head?
Oh, it was this year. It was at maybe March.
Okay. And what did that look like? I'm just curious. What did you see?
Oh, it was just a white light.
Okay, so it was
just a white light. That's why I was watching it, because it could have been. I thought maybe it was a satellite, because obviously very high.
Okay.
So that's why it was weird when it came out. And you have to understand, we're in the sky when I saw it. It was much further off. Sure. And so then it moved, and it had to go past where my view was blocked by some trees.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So so my view at first, I could see it. Then I moved where it was behind some trees, right? Where I couldn't see it, and then it came up over the trees. So I wasn't moving anymore. So it had to. So anyway, that's when I noticed it was for sure moving quickly, and coming my way. But it was just strange. Lately I've had a lot of ones, little sightings that I was seeing. That like I said, there's so many airports around here that it's whatever, it's different. Also, it's Oak Ridge, so there's anyway.
Right now,
but so most of them I put off. But when it was that strange, when they're just like that, when they're responding to me in some kind of way, it feels like they're interacting with me. Right. Then that sticks, and it seems Anyway.
That's what I think is cool.
Thanks for taking my call, man. I just wanted to share that with you. And
hold on a sec, because I think it's very cool.
What's up?
The thing that I think is really cool is that Stephen Greer does what is called a CE5. That's his protocol, where they do like meditation, and they try to make contact with these things in a telepathic manner. And yet yours was very naturally telepathic, and I think that really is incredibly profound if you think about that, because even at a distance, they're kind of like picking us up like a radio signal. It's like, oh yeah, well, there's one right there. He's thinking about wanting us to go overhead. Okay. And then they do that. And then when you said, no, we don't want no part of you, and boom, it just took off just like on command. And that's incredibly profound,
I agree. That's exactly why I wanted to to share them. It's not just a light in the sky that was funny, or it responded to. It seemed like it was interacting with me. It felt that way. And I say that it seemed like it was interacting with me.
Yeah.
It felt like kind of like a connection was there as well. It's kind of spooky. I don't know how to put it, but I don't know if you're really into that kind of stuff. Have you ever taken like a class and tried to do remote viewing? It's fun if you haven't.
No, I haven't. I'm very interested in it, and I think we all have that ability. I've just never spent the time to see it, about my own. I can tell you that I've had visions before, and as far as premonitions and stuff. But yeah, I've not tried the remote viewing. But I did a show on it with Wes Glimmer. I think it was the third season on the podcast. But I think, what was it called? The Star something. But it was very interesting. It had to do with the Cold War and how these programs were developed, and both countries, U.S. and Russia, were very invested in having people do this. But I definitely have no doubt there's something to it, and that I think it's probably intrinsic in all of us. We just have to train it,
Definitely intrinsic. I don't even know if we need to train it so much as we just need to actualize it or something like that. It seems like it's more of a realization.
Yeah.
Than a trend. But and it feels. But hey, it's a good time if you get a chance to do it. If you can, you're in contact with people. So if you wanted to, you could take a decent class on it, and you'd have a blast, man.
Yeah,
it'd be a good time. But you're right. This whatever Stephen Greer is doing, I totally forgot about that.
Yeah.
And you're right, that's very similar, isn't it?
Yes.
So that's pretty neat. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and he's trying to do something like that, and it's worked for him. So that makes me wonder.
Well, there's
people are. Go ahead.
I was going to say there's apparently a phone app that you can get if you have Android or Apple phones that are the CE5 protocol, and you can download it and kind of go over his outline and see if it works for you.
That might be something. Something to get into, but I'm thinking that if more people are trying to do this whatever, the psychic kind of connection, then perhaps what if there is something up there, it is responding to it more, and there may be that because people are doing that, this is something that maybe it's being paid attention to more or something. So I'd like to see where this goes, and I'm wondering if other people who are listening, is anyone having these kind of experiences? This has never happened to me. They kind of happened twice in a short period of time. So that's why I'm asking that. But anyhow, I just I wanted to share. I'm gonna hop off, and thanks for your time. Okay.
Anytime, brother. Thanks for calling in. It's great to talk to you.
Ooh. Yeah, dude. I absolutely love the show. Okay, guys. We'll see you.
All right. Take care. Very cool. That's very cool. Yeah, I think the whole telepathic thing is huge. I don't know what these extraterrestrials are capable of, but telepathy is definitely on the board for all of them. I think no matter, even if there are other races, they all seem to be able to talk without talking and communicate without sharing verbal ideas. So, I think we got a little catching up to do, but I think that's very powerful that he was thinking it and it happened. Boom. Very cool. But thank you for the call-in. It's always great to get call-ins as well. It's neat to have a chance to talk with you guys and to hear what you're experiencing for sure. All right, so we're going to dive into the cryptid corner, folks. It's time. It is time. And hopefully we'll find some good stories here. Or hopefully I've found good stories. I did find them already. Did I do this one? No, I don't think I did. Okay, so I got a few from Sasquatch Chronicles that we're going to touch base on first. There's 3 of them there. Then I want to hit the black-eyed kids, black-eyed people stories from phantoms and monsters after that. And I don't know, wherever we're left, I got more. If we need more, I've got more because I pulled up a whole bucket of fun for you guys. So let's get to this one first. This is from Sasquatch Chronicles blog and from the October 20th. God, I hope I didn't read this already. No, I don't think I have. Nope. All right. This one, I sometimes have a problem actually closing the stories when I'm done with them because I get sidetracked and then I come back the next day. It's like, is this one I read or no? So I apologize. I've done that on many occasions. And in fact, some people have written me that it makes them laugh and they find it hilarious when I, when I reread the same stories and I realize I've read the same stories. So as much fun as that is, I would rather not look like I'm licking the windows here. So, all right. October 20th, upcoming show. This thing ran in front of the RV. And I don't know if this is, well, if it was on the 20th upcoming show, then it's probably not actually a show, but this gives you a sneak peek into one of the episodes upcoming on Sasquatch Chronicles on the podcast. It says, a listener writes, I had a very strange encounter in the mid to late 90s in California. My husband at that time, so apparently not still, and I purchased an old C-Class motorhome and decided to take it on a trip with another couple to Lake Havasu, Havasu. We were traveling from Lake Forest, California, and we're on I-10 just outside Palm Springs. And we all worked, so we didn't leave until Friday evening. And by the time we got to this area, it was pretty late. I think it was around 11 at night or midnight, and very dark out. There weren't any cars on the road at all at that time. I kind of like driving when there's no other cars around. I think night driving for me is like the glare of those headlights coming. It's like, I don't like it. So my ex was driving and I was in the passenger seat, and there were two seats that swiveled just behind the front seats, and the other couple were sitting in them, and they were facing forward, and we're just talking and laughing and having a good time. Then, out of the darkness, this thing ran in front of the motorhome coming from the passenger side towards the driver's side. We hit it going 75 miles per hour, smack in the middle of the front of the RV. There was a loud, sickening thud sound. The RV lurched, and we heard it as it bounced around under the RV, and then out the back of the RV, lurched up as it went under the back tires. Oh, God. Yeah, they smashed something. We were all momentarily stunned as we just kept saying, what in the hell was that? We debated if we should stop and see what it was, but we all decided there was no way we wanted to be out in the middle of nowhere with that thing, even if it was dead and it was a bunch of little pieces. It was in a bunch of little pieces. We decided to stop at the next gas station to assess the damage to the RV and clean off the blood and guts and fur or hair off the RV. We're trying to lighten the mood on the way to the next exit by joking. What if there's a sheriff? How do we explain all the gore on the front of the RV? What will we say we hit, etc.? Well, we finally got on an exit with a gas station and we parked and we all jumped out to see the damage and mess. We were all stunned to find nothing on the RV. Not one bit of blood, no hair, no fur, nothing. If we hadn't all seen it, experienced it, I would have wondered if we had imagined the whole thing. As far as the thing goes, it was running on all fours, but it was big. It didn't look like it belonged on all fours. It was white and furry or hairy, but there was no hair on its face. The face was more human than animal looking. I got the best look at it because it appeared on my side of the RV, and its face was illuminated by the headlight. And it had an expression on its face like, oh no, I miscalculated. And it looked surprised as if it suddenly realized it was going to get hit. The closest thing I've seen to this thing is a picture on the internet of what's the supposed rake. But unlike this picture, it had hair or fur. Yikes. That's a horrible picture. I still can't wrap my brain around the fact that we hit it square on, and I know it went under at least two of the tires. No blood, no damage, nothing. I've been listening to your show nightly for several months and am a member, but it didn't occur to me to tell you about my encounter until today. I was listening to a show in the 300s, can't remember which one, and y'all were talking about the different creatures seen in areas. The gentleman mentioned a white one in the Palm Springs area, and I thought, dang, that could be the same one. Well, there you go. So, Wes is going to be talking to this person or these people, so I'm sure it'll be an excellent episode. That's creepy. How do you hit something going 75 and there's no damage, no blood, and no damage? What was it made out of? Marshmallows? I mean, you'd have to damage your vehicle. It's just, I mean, cars are tough and all that, but they fold up when you hit stuff. I mean, that's just what they're supposed to do. Maybe not RVs. I don't know about RVs and crumple zones, but I'm assuming if you hit something with an RV, it makes a mess, because I've seen plenty of semis that hit deer, and they get made a mess of too. Mostly for the deer, where they seem to like pop like an overripe zit or something. But yeah, that's still not pretty. But to find nothing, that's really lucky if that's the case. That's pretty amazing. But I don't know. I mean, it's kind of tragic that I'm not even thinking of, well, I hope the thing was okay. It's like, I don't really care if it's one of those things. I don't know why, but those damn rake things, those night crawlers, they freak me out. They really do. Something about them just feels wrong. I don't know. I was just talking about that. Apparently, some people in the comments on the Discord, Don had posted the link to the video that was going around a couple of years ago of some guy had his iPad and was recording one of those white crawlers outside of his house. And it's the creepiest damn thing. And something about that video disturbs me on a primal level, just a real core level. Like, I don't like it. I don't like it at all. Now, for context, I look at several hundred videos a week, at least. I'm like always going through stuff and looking into postings and seeing what people are putting out there. And normally most of it's just a casual dismissal or just, oh, that's interesting, but I don't, weigh it with whatever, whether I think it's something or not, but I don't get a visceral reaction from it. That video I get a visceral reaction from. And I don't know if it's some genetic memory or if it's just, I don't know. I don't know where it comes from. Or if it's just an intuitive thing, like get away from that thing, get away. I don't even want to watch the rest of the video. Like when I was watching it for the first time, I was like, oh, I just wanted to look away. I didn't want to look at it. Something about it disturbed me that much, which to me almost never happens. Does that mean it's real? No, it doesn't. It still could be a fake, but something about what was being portrayed in that video disturbed me to a great deal. And maybe it's the subject matter. Maybe these things are truly disturbing on a deep level. I think they're out there. I think they are, but that is way creepy. I guess it's good. They hit it 75 miles an hour and it didn't even damage their vehicle. So that's a good thing. Notice the Ghost Radar has been real quiet tonight too. Last night it was kind of hopping, but tonight it's pretty tame. Just saying, I guess we don't have an extended audience coming in and checking on the show. No spirits wandering in. All right, let's go to the next one from Sasquatch Chronicles blog. I want to make sure to have time. Oh, yeah, we're at 8:15. We got plenty of time. We're going to hit this next one from Sasquatch Chronicles blog, and this one's from October 12th. What creature did I see in the woods yesterday? Isn't that something? It's not enough to think that there's, 8, 10, 12-foot hairy things running around the woods or wolf people or wolf beings or dogmen or whatever. But there's these white crawlers, there's lizard people, there's insect people, there's chupacabras, there's this whole catalog of things that are out there. And so it's like, what creature did I see? If you don't know, oof. A listener writes, I hesitated to share the story because, to be honest, it makes me sound cray-cray. But I know what I saw. Did I read this? Yeah, I did. I read this one. Never mind. We're clipping past that one. I read it yesterday. Yep, I did it again. Well, let's go to the next one. October 15th, chased by an ape on Mount Hood. A listener writes, I'm a high school student in Oregon, and I love the show and had an experience of my own that I'd love to share on it. Me and my friend Marty were hiking on Mount Hood when we started, I guess, hearing weird noises. It just said we started weird noises. And it followed us for a couple miles, and then I looked back and saw something standing at roughly 8 foot tall and slightly hunched, holding a massive stone in one hand. It roared and threw it at Marty, but Marty jumped behind a tree and the rock hit the ground directly where he was standing. I'm on the cross-country team and an instinct kicked in. and I bolted away without thinking about Marty. He was out of there. Screw Marty. I hid in a fern until dark, and then went out and started to sneak back to the car. Didn't hear or see anything, but felt like I was being watched. As I was walking, I saw another creature like the first, but felt larger, facing away from me, heavily panting. Then I saw another of the creatures walk up to it and start yapping. The dialogue sounded calm at first, but quickly became heated and angry. And out of nowhere, one threw a punch and sends the other through a tree. I don't know what. Then they flat out fought for a few minutes until the one that was standing in the path got bit in the neck and had tons of flesh ripped out. During their fight, I ran past and ran the rest of the way to my car. I got in my car and began driving away immediately, but I remembered about Marty, so I stopped and grabbed my wrench and hid under the blanket in my car and laid there ready. After about an hour of waiting, I heard risking, I don't know what risking is, outside my car, and then a knock at my window. I pulled a blanket off of my head slowly and looked to see my friend Marty. I unlock the door and he gets in, and I quickly speed away, and a rock comes through my back windshield as I drive, slam on the gas. I don't know if I believe this one, to be honest with you. It's just like, oh yeah, they had a fight and one took a big bite out of the other one and sent it crashing through a tree, and somehow he snuck past. And yeah, I don't think that one's legit, to be honest with you. You don't see a lot of that on Wes's site, but I guess it can happen anywhere. But yeah, I think that's one of those. Yeah, I hate to say it didn't happen because I wasn't there, but it just doesn't ring true to me at all. I don't think you sneak past these things at all. I don't think that that's probably physically possible for us. I think they got ears that are close to dog level. I think they have the sense of smell that's on par with, most wildlife that lives wild, and they're quick, they're agile, they're stealthy. I don't think we stand a snowball's chance in hell of just sneaking by a group of them. So anyway, that's my take on it. Believe what you want, but very immature storytelling. Yeah, it is. It really was. It was sounded like a junior high school paper for a speech class, something like that. Not to put down junior high schoolers, but you're right. It doesn't sound like it. And Brent, they can read minds somehow. Well, maybe they can. Yeah, I mean, there is the whole mind speak aspect of these things. They may very well be telepathic too. Like, the reason that they don't just tear people apart is because they can kind of tell whether you're a problem or not. And maybe they do sometimes just tear people apart because they can tell if you're a problem or not. They know, they got that Santa sense or something. But yeah, I don't know. I think they just, they know that we're largely terrified and frozen, and maybe that's a rush for them. Like, hey, what's this? Hold my beer. There's some campers, Bet you I can get them to leave in under 5 minutes. Anyway, very cool. That story I'm not buying at all, but yeah, nobody hits the mark all the time. So we're going to adjust from here. I want to go over to Phantoms and Monsters and hit the Black-Eyed Girl. Again, this is Lon's site. Devilish black-eyed girl attacks and terrorizes Katy, Texas patrol officer. Yikes. So, oftentimes black-eyed kid stories are real sparse. You don't hear a lot about them largely. Sometimes you get these little spurts of activity, but for the most part, they're just kind of sitting there in the background. They'll come out, somebody will have an encounter or a story, and then you won't hear anything else. But you don't usually get stories like this. Like, it not only appeared to this patrol officer, but it attacks and terrorizes the patrol officer. So this is a whole new kind of story for me. I've not heard of any black-eyed people acting, extraordinarily aggressive. They apparently, like, if you let them in, bad things can happen, but it's not like you're being physically attacked. It's just something about them being in your presence is very bad, and makes people sick, if not possibly lethally sick. But the attacking and terrorizing is interesting. Let's see what it says. It says a patrol officer in Katy, Texas, came forward with an encounter that he had one night while on duty. He observes a young girl standing along the road, but then notices that she has black eyes. It's always a bad sign. Not that there's anything wrong with black eyes, but this occurred in September of 2022 in the Wood Creek Reserve neighborhood in Katy, and it was approximately 11:30 p.m. So I saw this girl standing by the side of the road. She looked like she may have been a preteen. I pulled over because I thought I could help her. She was just standing there, and I thought it was weird that a kid would be standing by the side of the road at that time of the night, so I pulled over to see if I could help. The first thing I did is called it in. When I looked up, she had moved and she was in front of the patrol car, standing in the headlights. She was looking at me. She didn't seem afraid or worried, and I thought that was weird, so I told dispatch. I went to get out of the car, and just as I was starting to open my door, I saw her eyes. And at that point, I didn't want to get out of the car. I realized that her eyes were totally black. I mean completely black. She must have seen that I realized that, because she started to approach the car, and it took everything I could do not to drive away at that point. I mean, I'm a peace officer and of the law. It's my job, but it was this visceral thing that just took over. I can't describe it, but all of my training had just gone out the window. Everything in me just wanted to get the hell away from that girl, but I stayed. I rolled down the window and she approached me, and I asked where she lived, and she mumbled something. I leaned forward, and then she suddenly attacked me. This ungodly voice was then coming out of her. I had no idea how a human could make that voice, but I was trying to push her off of me. She was trying to pull me out of the car. I was screaming at her to get off of me, and then she said something. I can't get those words out of my mind. She said, "We're going to die tonight." Why would she say that to me? I struggled to break her grip, and then I heard a loud crack, and she went limp and fell onto the road, and I thought that I may have seriously hurt her. I quickly got out of the car to see if she was okay, and then suddenly she stood up like nothing had happened, and she ran away into the dark night. But I could hear her laughing. She was not human. I'm telling you. When I got back to the station, I told my supervisor what had happened, and he told me to ignore it and not write up an incident report. I still patrol the same area. I believe that she is still out there, roaming in the nights. She just was not human. That's weird. That's a very unique story. I don't know. That's, generally speaking, it didn't sound like he invited her in the car. So if he just had the window open, she just lunged in the car at him. That seems kind of contrary to a lot of what I understood about these things, that they can't enter without permission. And it's when you give them permission that all hell breaks loose. But I don't know. It's a very unique story. I can say I've never heard one like that before. But what do you think? Is this another potential... Audio wants to call me. Okay, well, the phone number is 720-923-0500. Just give me a call. Give me a call, Audio. I'll be here waiting. Because we got another story, but I'm going to give you a minute to see if you call in, because if you call in, then I won't have to interrupt the story. So call in now. 720-923-0500. Here we go. All right. Maybe this is Audio. Area code 309. You're on the air.
Hey there, Brent.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I wanted to add something to my call from last night because I was kind of nervous, and I had a whole bunch of stuff going through my head, and I was just trying to spit it out, and it just didn't come out correctly. What I wanted to say was, because we were talking about the cryptids and everything. We were talking about Florida and all that.
Yeah.
What was really interesting about what I was trying to say is like how before, honestly, I didn't really, like, I would listen to Sasquatch Chronicles and stuff, and I would listen to things like people's stories and stuff to try to center my beliefs or try to figure out what's going on, because I never had a Sasquatch encounter or anything really paranormal or anything.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, I looked to Sasquatch Chronicles and things like that, and then I remember specifically what I was trying to say was, you were a co-host one night on Bigfoot Odyssey or for Bigfoot Odyssey with Daniela and Carrie. Mm-hmm. Okay. And Mark Zasky was one of the people. Anyways, long story short, I've been watching his stuff recently, which is crypto reality. I'm sorry to be plugging people's stuff. That's not why I'm calling.
That's okay. Anyway, what were you going to say?
Anyways, I was going to say that there was a guy on his channel named Donnie Miller, and he had the most compelling encounter that really made me really like, because sometimes when you look at somebody or you listen to them, kind of like the last story, you didn't really believe it. You can just tell when you listen to somebody or see them, their countenance or their demeanor, you can just tell, and you can almost adjust your beliefs according to what they look like or what, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Anyway, so this guy, Donnie Miller, that's what I was trying to mention yesterday. He has this encounter, and you should check him out sometime. He's all over YouTube. He told his encounter. It's just crazy. But anyways, recently Mark's put out a video, and his last video, he was talking about how there's these creatures in the J. Corbett Wildlife Management Area and also the Hungry Land, the Mariana Jones Hungry Land area. It's a management area. Anyways, how he's capturing these creatures, and I just didn't know what to do about it. Like, I wanted to share that with people because he's capturing things out there that are massive, and what he believes is there's truly a management program going on, and they're feeding them cattle because they're finding cattle bones and stuff out there. And like what he said in his last video is basically this: if there's floods or any natural disaster, these creatures are eventually going to make themselves known because they're going to have to go out and look, for food and stuff. And that's all I was trying to say is I would like people to just pay attention to that, because if anybody lives in South Florida or whatever, they know there's Sasquatch reports. Like, there's something else going on out there. And that's basically what I was trying to say, but I was all excited and stuff. And since we were on the cryptid subject, it was just really fascinating to me because I'm not one to, unless I've seen it myself, I'm not one to necessarily adopt a belief or anything like that.
Sure.
But man, when I hear some of the Sasquatch Chronicles people talk, or some of it's just like, what am I supposed to do with this?
Right. Yeah, just be careful.
But anyways, I'll let you go. I just want to thank you for I appreciate being part of the family there and talking with the guys on the chat, because when I work in a real negative place, and when I get home and I can watch one of y'all's shows or whatever, you guys are real positive, and it just cheers me up. So thank you for involving me.
Thank you, brother. Thanks for being a part of it, and thanks for calling in again. It's good to hear from you.
All right. Take care. Bye now.
Good night. All right. Yeah, very interesting stuff. I mean, at the end of the day, it's kind of I really agree with Kerry Arnold's position on it, and God bless him. He's no longer with us, but he always said, people have a right to know. And I can't agree more. I mean, whether or not you believe they're out there, you at least have a right to know what people are claiming is out there. And certainly embargoes on information doesn't help anybody. It just, people can share. And if you subscribe to it, great. If you don't, great. But at least you've been informed. It's the whole idea that people go camping into national parks and stuff, and perhaps they're being, shadowed by these 10, 12 foot tall giant beings. And what if they're not all good? What if they're not all fluffy, huggy, nice beings? What if some of them are subsisting on human beings? Maybe that's part of their diet. I don't know. I mean, we know nothing, right? So I just think everybody has the right to know. So very good point. But getting back to this story, I think it's an interesting story. I don't know what to make of it. It's very unusual. What is this? Maybe nowadays the BEKs are getting desperate. This girl BEK might have been more directly connected to the queen bee, evil force that causes the negative effects. Yeah, it could be. Yeah, I mean, it's all suggestion and supposition, but yeah, all we know is that this claim is made. This one was acting quite aggressively, and maybe it wasn't the traditional BEK. Maybe it was, but creepy. I mean, if it's preteen, it's what, 9, 10, 11-year-old child size, and think of a full-grown man would have trouble wrestling that off of him. I mean, think of it in people terms. It'd be like a full-grown man would be like, extend the arm and the kid's away. But apparently that was not the case. It was much more feral or ferocious or whatever than he had anticipated. So creepy story, but yeah, that's horrifying. Next one I wanted to read was this one. Another black-eyed kid story. Since we're covering them tonight, I set aside 2 stories for tonight for black-eyed kids, so I could use the black-eyed kid on the promotional image. I like the black-eyed kid stories. They're pretty freaky. They're pretty weird. But I don't know. It seems of all of them, they seem to require the most. They would have the hardest time attacking you because they need your permission. It's like, no, I do not let you into my house. No, you may not come in. Now, there is a level of compulsion that accompanies a lot of these. Just fair warning, this says black-eyed kids shock rural gas station attendant in northeast Louisiana. Now, I've covered many times throughout the years stories of black-eyed kids at gas stations. One story keeps bubbling up on many, many different sites, maybe a few of them. But if this is one we've heard before on the show, I don't know what to tell you. This one is dated October 20th, so it's supposed to be a new one, at least to Phantoms and Monsters. So let's check it out. It says a person emailed Dave Schrader of Darkness Radio about something bizarre they saw several years ago. It's not Darkness Radio anymore, though, is it? He's got the 60, I think, is his new podcast. Dave Schrader's new podcast is the 60, something like that. 60, the 60, I think. But anyway, Darkness Radio. But it says that they saw several years ago while working at an out-of-the-way gas station in rural Louisiana. It was about 3 years ago in November 2012 when I was working at a small gas station in northeast Louisiana. We were only a small shop and 24-hour service station near Bastrop, yeah, just off the highway. And I worked the night shift, and I loved it. The sharing of stories with the traveling customers, that's when the rare customers showed up. It must have been around 2 a.m. I was cleaning the floors and locking the beer coolers, and suddenly the lights went out. Yeah, I'm sure we've covered this one, but I'm going to continue. I pulled out my cell and used it as a guiding light until I made it back to our counter where I kicked on the gas generator. It lit the parking lot and the bath and the hall leading to the register. When I looked outside, I could just make out the movement of the trees across the street, but otherwise it was pitch black. I turned on the radio and started listening to a local station with its night owl DJ, commenting on the heavy winds and cracking jokes between songs. It says, suddenly I saw figures in the dark. I could just make them out. They seemed to be a group of kids on bikes. There were 3 of them. 2 of them dropped their bikes and made their way to the door where they just stood there, staring at me. I just stared back for a moment, waiting for them to come in. They never did. I moved around the counter and opened the door. What's up, guys? Out kind of late, aren't you? I asked them, expecting them to come in. Can we use your phone? One asked, with their heads tilted kind of low. I felt a little worried as I pulled my cell phone from my pocket and offered it to her. Sure. She looked at me and then I saw her eyes. They were solid black, almost like ink-filled orbs. No, I need the real one, she said. Her face twisted into an angry snarl. I pulled the door closed and flipped the locks. No, ma'am. You go home and get your mom's phone. They stared at me through the door for a minute longer before turning away and biking off. The next day I had my lady boss check the cameras to get the pictures of the creepy kids, but the cameras had been off the whole time. Now the cameras run on the generator instead of the hall lights. I never saw the kids again. Creepy. Well, that's sources from 2015 on Darkness Radio, but I know we've read that story many different places online. It is a creepy story. I don't know. Again, they couldn't come in. They wouldn't come in or couldn't come in, but the little kid attacking the patrol officer had no trouble coming right in. So it's creepy out there, whatever they are. All right. I guess we're going to go to a couple stories about Glimmer Man. And this is a kind of a unique phenomenon. It's not been around a long time. It's been reported forever, but they finally have a title for it. Glimmer Man is basically the almost invisible humanoids that are out there, where it looks like you're looking at the Predator from the movies. Like it's kind of, you can see through it, but you can still kind of make out the fact that it's a human shape. They call that the Glimmer Man. So if you've never heard that before, that's what the Glimmer Man is. Yeah, I ain't about playing with BEK either, Chucky. Screw that. So, witness chases yellow-eyed Glimmer Man in Davidson County, Tennessee woods. There you go, Tennessee. Coming up tonight 2 times now. Roger, you hear that, Roger? Let's see what this one says. It says the Tennessee man is walking his dog when he gets the feeling that something is watching him. As he scans the trees, he observes a Glimmer Man entity with flashing yellow eyes. That's got to be a creepy feeling. Ugh. Hello. Around 1994, I was living near Nashville, Tennessee, in a small neighborhood called Antioch. And this is in Davidson County. And I was out walking my dog one day, letting the dog do its business, and out in the front yard, and I could sense something was watching me. It was about 3:00 in the afternoon, and everyone around there was at work except me. I could just feel something watching me. Oh, Trace remembered. Thank you, Trace. I started looking at the woods directly in front of me. I couldn't see anything, but I did hear leaves rustling in the trees. So I started looking up towards the top of the trees, and the only way I could describe it, I don't even know if the movie had come out yet. It was the cloaked alien in the Predator film. In the movie, they saw that invisible creature where you could just see the outline of everything, but you could see right through it. Well, it was sitting up in the very tops of the trees where it wouldn't hold the weight of a man by any means. This thing was as big as a man. It just stood there looking at it when I saw a quick flash of its eyes. It was a sudden bright yellow glow. I let go of the leash and I took off on a dead run towards the thing. It literally started running across the top of the trees. I know what I saw. While running, I thought about what I was doing, and I then thought, what in the world are you doing chasing this thing? I stopped, and it stopped. About the length of a football field away from where it started. It turned around and looked at me again with the flashing yellow eyes, and then it took off through the woods, through the tops of the trees, out into the deeper woods. I didn't see it again. It scared the hell out of me. I never told anybody about it because I thought people would think I was crazy. Well, there is that. Oh my God, this is creeping me out. I hate Glimmer Man. I'm telling you, Roger, you might want to move. Just saying. No, that's crazy, crazy stuff. That's a weird story. I don't know, because again, we don't know anything about them. If they're transparent like that, are they lighter? Can they walk on treetops like that? On the little flimsy branches? I don't know. Again, is it even fully in this realm, or is it kind of halfway? Anybody's guess. But it's a creepy story. There's another Glimmer Man story here. Here it is. Physically attacks boy in Western New York. It's kind of like the Black Eyed Kids. One is just an encounter, just like that last one was the Glimmer Man. And the other Black Eyed Kid was an attack, and just like this one. The Glimmer Man physically attacks boy in Western New York. Glimmer Man physically attacks. Oh, I've seen a video of some people that allegedly were tracking Glimmermen out in a wooded area, a man and his girlfriend or fiance, and it was one of those found camera clips where it's like they found the camera and looking at the clip, this couple was out hiking around and then ended up in the woods, and they were like, "Hey, what's that? What's that? Do you see it? Do you see it? No, I don't see anything. Oh no, look there." And then the camera kind of goes on to the action, and you can make out this humanoid figure, but it looks like the Predator guy, on the movie. It's like transparent, or at least translucent. It's warping the light, and then it kind of shoots over, and they're like, no, it's over there, and they track it, and then suddenly it starts screaming and comes at them, and they're running, no, run, and then kind of goes to black, so you don't know. It's like, ooh. I more than likely it's a fake, obviously, but if it's not, that's creepy. All right, let's check this one out. This one is New York. Two boys are exploring the woods near their home in western New York. They experience an unseen entity in the trees. Later, the one boy is physically attacked at home by a Glimmer man. Oh, it followed him home. That's creepy. I grew up in western New York near Rochester, not too far from the Canadian border. My dad built a mini mansion that backed up to the Forever Wildwoods, and that's a New York State program that keeps the wilderness as is. Once the house was built, the woods became the playhouse for myself and my closest friend, DJ. It's in the early 90s, and we love being outside. One day while exploring, we found an amazing section about 50 minutes walk into the woods that was gorgeous swamp, full of flowers and life. And I remember approaching it where we snapped trees all around and straight branches jammed into the ground like spikes. What? I remember approaching it. There were snapped trees all around and straight branches jammed into the ground like spikes. The solid land went into the swamp like a peninsula. The trees were almost like walls on each side that funneled us out into it. We approached the water and saw snapping turtles quickly submerge. Being kids, we started skipping rocks and throwing boulders to get splashes, just doing what kids do. Then, out of nowhere, DJ and I felt a wave of fear, sort of like a sixth sense. Our hair stood up, and we were both looking around for what triggered this primal feeling. DJ pointed to a tree across the water, and I can only describe it as the top half was bending back and forth, not like the wind was gently pushing it, but like it was close to snapping, left and right, back and forth. It was bending, creaking loud, over and over, quicker and quicker. The bottom of the tree barely moved. And then out of nowhere, there was this rumbling growl that was so loud it shook our insides. I've been around loud things before and even learned to shoot an 8-gauge black powder shotgun. No sound compared to the force of this. Picture your soul getting pushed out of your back and then springing back inside like a giant invisible rubber band. In the pierced silence of this, we both ran for our effing lives. The whole way home, we ran through bushes and branches, ripping up our exposed skin. We both thought we could hear pursuit all around us, but said nothing. Once home, we tried sharing what happened with our parents, but they wouldn't listen. Naughty parents. We decided to stay inside for the rest of the day. I'll bet you did. As usual, DJ was spending the night, and we decided to crash in the support, a 25 by 25 foot room filled with double hung windows on 2 exterior walls, a sliding glass door that led to a 3-story deck, and a French door that led to a formal dining room. Dad had worked
Parenthesis.
Parenthesis? There was no parenthesis in any of that. It was just one big sentence. But anyway, maybe there should have been. Maybe you're right. Were you an editor in life? I mean, you might be a lot more grammatically correct than I am. Dad had worked hard. He went from a garbage man to a business owner, so this house was massive. Anyway, DJ was on the couch while I lay on the floor in front of the TV with a Nintendo, and it was summer, so all the double-hung windows were open wide. I stretched out on my arms behind my head, on my neck. I stretched my arms behind my head, my neck on a couple of pillows, and my fingers were interlaced. My hands were sort of folding up the back of the head with elbows flared out. DJ was out and snoring, and I was half asleep watching something on the television. As God is my witness, out of nowhere, I felt a massive hand engulf both of my hands and part of my wrist and pull me towards the windows. I moved a good 2 to 3 feet and effing lost it, screaming in terror. It released me, and within a minute, my dad ran in. DJ was silent and just staring at me. I told my dad what happened, so he went to each window and said the screens were all slid down and in place. He said that it was just a dream. For me to man up and shut up. Oh, no. Well, I shut up and prayed he'd just go back out. I looked at DJ and asked if he had seen it. He just looked at me and didn't say anything about it. He ended up calling his parents and getting picked up in the middle of the night. I went upstairs and tried to sleep in my room. The next day, I called DJ's house to see if he wanted to come over, and his mom said he didn't feel good and not to call again until I heard from him. Well, this confused my 12-year-old mind. We never got together again after that. I'd see him occasionally, but he was cold with me every time. Eventually, at the end of summer, I ran into him on a canal path, one of our fishing spots, and decided to question him. His mom wasn't there to be the buffer. He finally confessed that on that night, for some reason, he awoke and saw a predator grab and pull me. He didn't use that specific word. Instead, he described a massive, clear but distorted shimmer thing that reached in and grabbed me. I never knew others had seen this cloak of invisibility. I now refer to it as a predator. Did it lift the screens up and slide easily enough and then close it that quick? Did it somehow pass through the fiberglass mesh? I just don't know. I looked in the morning but saw no tracks, and DJ thought it was a ghost. I didn't put it all together until much later as an adult. I think it followed me home after we trespassed on its turf. It could have hurt us all easily at any time, but it didn't. I almost think it had a sick type of humor and enjoyed terrifying us a little bit. I never went back that far into the woods after that. Oof, that's creepy. That is creepy, folks, because whatever that was, it put hands on that boy. It put hands on him and was dragging him out. Was it phasing? Was it transdimensionally phasing or what? I don't know. It was obviously a big hand. He felt a huge hand, so it sounds kind of squatchy, but here's the thing. I often think of the Glimmer Man and think, well, is that the state that people see the Sasquatch disappear to? That they're still kind of there, but they're translucent to the light. The light goes through them somehow or around them or what? I don't know. Again, this is a place I run into a problem logically with my mind, but I don't discount the fact that people have seen this. And I just don't know what that means or how. I don't know. I keep trying to quantify that in my head. Parentheses, maybe the spirit is saying there's two stories that are in the story Brent is reading. The story being told by the witness and the story of the entity. Yeah, maybe. I guess it's possible. That's pretty incredible. I'm never annoyed when I talk to you audio. Don't worry about that. It's not, don't think like that, brother. I'm glad to talk to everybody. But, I will just say that, yeah, I mean, here's the part where I get stuck, audio, just to put it out there for you, because I think you at least deserve an explanation. There's a lot of claims being made when it comes to these cryptids. There's a lot of huge claims being made. And I don't pretend to be the crop. Okay. I don't pretend to be the arbiter of what is or isn't true. I mean, I can't possibly know, but all I can tell you is that after having done this for so many years, and not that makes me an expert, but it does make me someone who's very familiar with a lot of claims and a lot of stories. There is a consistency to a lot of these stories about Bigfoot, about Dogman, about these different phenomena. But if Mark is making claims that there's 20-foot tall Bigfoot, I hit a wall in my own belief system with that. So I'm not annoyed with you. Don't get me wrong. I appreciate and love the fact that you're calling in. But I just think that there's a whole body of of anecdotal evidence that people have been adding to for generations about these things. And it's really peculiar to me to hear someone come in and say, well, now they're 18 to 22 feet tall. If that's what they're telling you, that to me is an extraordinary leap. And I'm not sure that I can subscribe to that. So I guess when you're feeling my discomfort, it's more to do with the fact that the claims that are made are sometimes so much larger than life. And I don't know. And if they're right, and I'll have to stand corrected. I don't pretend to be the authority on this. It's just what I've heard, what I'm familiar with. But when claims like that come in that are so far out of the box, so far out from what everyone else has been saying for decades or, half a century, that they're generally in this height range, that maybe they can get much bigger, but those aren't the ones that are witnessed. And suddenly, there's this one claim from Florida where they're suddenly double as big. They're twice as big. And it's like, I don't know. Again, you have to understand, being a show host, I keep an open mind as much as I can, but I'm still a human being. I still have my own paradigm, my own understandings, or I don't want to say facts, but my understandings of the phenomenon. When claims come in that are so far outside of that, it just makes me go, ugh. The fact is we know next to nothing about any of these things. We know that people have encounters. We know they have experiences. Unless I talk to somebody from a program that is managing them, then I guess I could put more weight into it. But again, that's another claim. That's like, where did that come from? That's so unusual. I don't know. I don't want to air my own personal laundry on the show because my opinion is my own, but I can't help but have reactions to that. So my apologies to you, because I appreciate that you called in. I appreciate that you're sharing things that are important to you. And I'm honored that you do that here. I really am. But I'm just telling you my own personal walls that I hit. And I'm just a human being. I'm just a guy with a microphone. I do have ideas about this stuff. And when things come in that are so far away from everybody else, it's just like, I hit a wall. And so my apologies. I don't want to make you feel uncomfortable ever, brother. I am honored that you called in. I am honored that you cared enough to share your thoughts and ideas. And I'm not in any way poking at you. You are a passionate person, and you are finding information about it. But my concern is just that those huge claims are being made. So I don't know if that makes sense, but wow, you're getting a roof? Awesome. I don't know what that means. But anyway, I hope that makes sense, audio. It's really cool that you called in, and thank you so much for doing that. I really do sincerely apologize to you if I made you feel uncomfortable. It's just, that's what's going on in my head. So now you understand. It's not about you personally at all, though. Please don't think that. You're awesome. And it means the world to me that you've found a home here with us. But again, there's actually more to the story than that, but that's all I'm willing to talk about publicly. But I'll just leave it there. That the claims are sincerely huge. So I forgot to ask about the cap. What? Latets? I don't know what that means. The cap latets. Anyway, I don't know. So thanks so much for the great show. Oh, thank you for being here, Maggie. I appreciate it. I guess we are about a minute away, aren't we? God, the time flies. So anyway, just want you to know that I do love you all. Thank you so much for being here, being a part of the journey. My eye is going crazy. Just got tears coming out of it. But just remember, be good, be nice, take care of each other, help each other out, find the magic in every day, and remember to laugh as much as you can. My absolute pleasure to be here and doing the show for you guys. And I will be back on Tuesday for the members, 7 p.m. Tuesday night. I hope you'll hang out with me, and we'll talk more. So And then for the rest of you, I'll see you on Wednesday for the regular show. Don should be here. So remember, always keep it spooky. Always keep it spooky. All right, guys, that's going to finish it up for us. So take care. And I'm waiting for the credits to come on, but that must be it. So I'm going to end it here. Good night, everybody.
Censorship and regulation is becoming an ever-growing problem in today's modern media. From the mainstream